Oh my gosh. Hello. Welcome back to yoga. Do you know what I just realized after months of staring into the screen and going, are we taping? Are we taping? The button that you press on your phone changes from round to square when the video starts. I never knew that. I never knew that until right this very second. So I could have avoided a lot of really weird faces for the last several months had I paid better attention. Things you learn. Well, hello guys. Welcome to yoga. Today is episode 47 of Cedar Grove Global Freakin Pandemic Virtual Yoga. And it is Wednesday, September 16th. That's crazy, right? Time is flying. It's so weird. Without a whole lot to do and really nowhere to go, time is flying by. Flying by. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all feeling healthy. I hope you're all feeling strong. Thank you for coming back and meeting me in this place, on this platform, to play around and do a little bit of yoga. I sure appreciate it. I like to mention this every once in a while, but these classes are brought to you by the Cedar Grove Public Library. So make sure that if you go in there to grab some books, or you shoot someone a quick email, that you just say thanks if you're enjoying the classes, because it's really nice that the library is doing as many things as they can. I know they're doing Zoom art classes that my mom is taking, and a couple other Zoom things, but they're trying to keep the community busy and engaged, and it's really nice of them. So when we met together last, we did sun salutations, and I'm so glad we did, because it kind of lit a little fire in me and made me think a little bit about this new session that we're starting this week with the Parks and Rec. And we're going to do a breakdown. We did this a year ago. I know it was a year ago because we were outside in the parking lot and it was fall. So we're gonna kind of go back and revisit something we did a year ago that seemed to be something everybody liked. We're gonna break down the sun salutation pose by pose, do one pose every class, and link them all together so that at the very end you have a really good working knowledge of all the poses and all the little things you need to do to make that pose aligned and comfortable and effective for you, as well as the whole entire sun salutation, which, like I said last week, is a really good little vinyasa to have in your yoga toolkit as something that you can pull out and do whenever you need just a really good stretch, because it involves a little bit of everything. There's back bending, there's forward bending, there's standing balance poses, there's planks and dogs and chaturangas and cobras and a whole bunch of stuff. So that's what we're going to do, and I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do, and then I taught that class last week, and I got some really good feedback from some of you, and that's what led me to decide that that's what the session will be about. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, Cedar Grove Parks and Recreation is offering a outdoor yoga class. We just finished one for the summer, and it went really well. We kept 6 feet apart. I think everybody felt safe in the environment. There were no issues with sickness, and we're doing it again. There's a new session starting tomorrow night. So Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 7:30, we're at the Panther Park softball field. And then Friday mornings from 9 to 10, we're in front of the community center on Fairview. The Wednesday night class, traditionally in this town, has proven to be a much bigger group. The Friday morning class is smaller, and it tends to be mostly women. So I don't know if you're looking for something specific, but if you have the opportunity to get out of your house for an hour, it's a great way to just do something good and nurturing and a little bit of self-care for yourself. I know it's hard on Friday mornings with the kids back in school and the kids home right now, but I will be there, and I will be throwing caution to the wind and leaving my kids at home. The oldest is in high school, so it's fine. But for 1 hour, they're on their own so that I can be with some other adults and do some yoga and just do a little bit of self-care for me too, because that's what teaching is for me. I love to teach yoga. I love to practice yoga, but I love to teach yoga. And I really miss teaching real life people. This has been fantastic. And I will gratefully do these classes and provide these classes for as long as the library commissions me to. But I really like teaching live. So if you're interested in taking either one of those classes, you need to sign up online. You can do it through the Cedar Grove Parks and Rec Department. And the classes are running, the sessions are running, it's a 10-week session. So we start this week, we end like the second week in November. And it's going to get a little bit brisker out, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll have a good time. And if you want to join me, I hope you do. So that's what's going on that I had to tell you. Today, we are going to do some hip openers. And I'm going to follow that up on Saturday's class with the strappy hip opener, because that has been the request lately, more hip openers. It's amazing how much people need hip openers and how much they almost can't get enough of hip openers no matter what we do. So this class and the next class are going to both be hip opener classes, but they're going to be two different kind of classes. The one with the strap is a little bit more therapeutic and deep, and you hold it a little bit longer. And this one is going to be more a variety of seated, standing, you know, just kind of a mixed bag of poses, but focusing on the hips. So lie down, get comfy on your mat, arms out at your side, palms up, close your eyes, and start to breathe. I feel like I'm talking super, super, super fast. I think it's because I can't believe I'm alone in the house. My husband is in the middle of switching jobs, and so he's got the next week home with us before he starts his new job. And he doesn't have any hobbies. He doesn't have one single hobby. Literally, he has no hobbies. His only hobby is the dog. And so he walks the dog a lot, and he takes the dog to the dog park, and he talks to the dog. Basically, it's just all the dog all the time. But I kicked him out, and I asked him to take Cam to swim so that I could do this. And then I'm going to take Alex to swim later, which will get me even more alone time in the car to read the paper or something. But having all three of them home right now, it's making my head spin. Like, it's hard to even get a thought. So, so I think I'm a little giddy that I'm alone at the moment. The boys being home for school is fine. They're adjusting. They're both doing well. They're both happy. Having Mike home, as much as I love him and we typically get along fairly well, not going great. It's just too much together time. We came home from a week at the beach, and that's when he accepted the new job offer, and he went back to his old job for like a couple days on and off. But I feel like we've been together every day for like 1,000 weeks, and it's too much. It's too much. So next Wednesday he goes back to work, and I can't wait. And in between now and next Wednesday, I think I'm gonna just, he'll do laundry like a machine, like just more and more and more. So I think I'm gonna take down all the curtains tomorrow. I can have him wash windows. Like, I need to like come up with a to-do list. Like, we've never been that honey-do couple like that. Here, honey, here's your list, your to-do list. But I think I may need to take advantage of that a little, because he's making me nuts. He's just always kind of like quietly lurking around and talking to the dog, and I can't stand it. So lie on your back. So that's why I'm a little giddy, because I am alone in the house. Alone in the house. It's like a TikTok. There was a TikTok about being alone in the house, being bored in the house. I'm not bored. I'm happy to be alone with you. But I'm not sad that my husband's not here right now. So lie on your back, arms at your side, palms up. Find your breath. I also have a gripe with you guys, actually, that we need to discuss. Sometimes when I'm walking in the morning and I can't find a good podcast and I don't feel like listening to music, I listen to my classes on YouTube to hear how I'm verbalizing things to you, to make sure that it makes sense, and to see if there's a different way or a better way that I could be speaking the yoga language. And so the other day, I really quickly turned on the class I taught on, the last class I taught, the sun salutation class. And the camera angle and where I was standing was one of the most horrendous things I have ever seen in my whole life. It was like the phone was underneath me, shooting up, and I looked like some kind of crazy deranged giant in my Be Kind tank top. And you guys sent me a lot of good feedback about the class, but not one of you mentioned how horrendous that was. And if we're friends, which I feel like we should be at this point, we're 47 classes deep here, you can tell me don't ever stand that way again, because if I hadn't watched the class, I wouldn't have known, and now it's on YouTube for the whole entire world forever. So please do me a solid, and the next time something like that happens, just tell me, because it was horrendous. So there, we got that ugliness done. Pull your knees into your chest. Take a twist over to your right. Keep your arms out, palms up. Let the legs drop to the right, and then focus on the back of the left arm and ground it down into the mat, head straight up or head towards the left hand. Oh my goodness. You know when you feel like you're holding your neck a little tight and you're afraid it's going to turn into a stiff neck? That's what I've been doing all day, and I'm not sure why. I think it's because Mike's home. I think so. So, we'll see. Hopefully not. So if you've done all these classes with me since the third week in March, maybe? I was thinking about it the other day, 47 classes. That's almost, and it's 8 classes a month that we put up. So that's like 6 months worth of classes, just about. Crazy. But my point is, if you've done all these classes with me all along, then there's probably, I tend to repeat myself, especially when it's something that I feel strongly about, like what I'm going to say to you today, like hip opener stuff. So you've probably heard it before. And even if you did the last outdoor session with me last fall and you did the sun salutation series with me, it's always going to be a little different because I'm constantly trying to learn new stuff to bring to you. And because there are little things that you pick up on every single time you do yoga that you might not have ever seen before. So if you're sick of hearing me say the same things over and over again, pay attention differently, because I guarantee you it's not exactly the same thing, just like teaching the sun salutation series won't be exactly the same as it was. But with hip openers, a lot of it is exactly the same that I'm going to say to you. Hip openers are tricky. They're for everybody, men and women, but women tend to hold their anxiety and their tightness and their muscular tension in that low pelvic area, which is right around our hips. So I know for me, when I'm having like an anxious period, when I'm going through something that's causing me anxiety, that's where I feel it almost instantly. And so, and if we're being totally honest, you know, the world has been in crisis for 6 months, so there's not a lot of days where there's not something that makes me feel a little bit anxious, right? So I could do hip openers every single day and go to bed feeling like, ah, that feels so good. But then every single morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to need to redo them because hips just get tight. It's the way that we walk. It's the way that we sit. It's the way that we lay down when we're in bed at night. It's the shoes that we wear. I tend to wear, actually this summer, I think I've done better because I typically wear flip-flops all summer. I like Havaianas and I like, what's my other brand? The yoga mat brand. It just went out of my head. Sanuk, the green tag. I like both of those. And they're both pretty squishy, but neither one of them has a very good arch and I have a flat foot. So for me, my hips, my Achilles, they're always kind of tight. And then in the winter, I tend to wear my UGG style boots and running shoes. And so my feet are always at not great angles. And that does throw off my hips a lot. And so it's just day-to-day living that causes the tightness. But in order to really change it, you have to be very conscious and make changes in your day-to-day life. And you know, this summer, what I was going to say was, instead of wearing my flip-flops, for some reason, since summer started, since the warm weather started, I have been wearing my Adidas slides. I have a couple different pairs of cute print Adidas slides, and they're hard on the bottom, and they have a pretty big arch built in. And I've noticed a huge difference, and I think it's because I've been wearing those and not my squishy flip-flops. So there, you know, when you become more aware of what affects you, you can make little changes. And I didn't even do it on purpose, but I probably should throw my flip-flops out because my hips have felt a lot better all summer, even though I still always have a tight one. And that's my next point. You're always going to have one hip that's tighter than the other. And for me, it's my right hip. The only explanation I have for this is that it's the leg I drive with. So I'm constantly flexing and pointing that foot, which is moving the femur in and out of the hip socket all the time. And I really like to drive. And so when we go on little day trips or road trips or whatever the case is, very often I'm the one who drives just because I prefer to drive rather than be the passenger. And so I drive a lot, especially this summer. I've driven a lot because we've taken lots of days at the beach when we were able to. And I think that's why my right hip is tighter. But as much as I practice yoga, as much as I focus on hip openers, there's always a tightness. Pull your knees up to center, drop them over to the left, and then extend the right arm out to your side with the palm up. So you do hip openers, and you do them more, and you do them more, and you realize it feels good, but you can almost never do them enough. That's my whole point here. So that's why I'm going to follow up today's class with Saturday's class, which will be the strappy class, which just goes deep and kind of provides a little bit more of a therapeutic angle that allows you to relax into the pose and just, I think, get a ton out of it. I think that pose is so effective, even though it's uncomfortable and you have to hold it for a while. But I think between this class and Saturday's class, your hips will be in really good shape until you wake up on Sunday morning and then, like, you know, go for a walk, and then you're in trouble all over again. It's the nature of our body, right? But that's why we have yoga. That's why we have yoga, because we can fix ourselves a little bit. Nothing good in here today. Usually it's iced tea lemonade, my diet iced tea lemonade, or I think I've mentioned before that I really like apple juice with ice, like a big preschooler. Just water today. All right, bring your knees up to center. Come on into your happy baby. One hand on either each knee, just to weigh you down if you don't want to go quite so big in the hips yet. Or if you're feeling pretty confident, one hand on the outside of each foot, or big toes. Yogi toe lock is your pointer and middle fingers wrapped around the big toes. And then once you find your happy baby, you pull the knees down. Bottoms of the feet are going to face up at the ceiling, and then you're going to find a little bit of movement, a little rocking back and forth, or front to back, whatever feels best. And depending on how your hips feel, pull your feet wider. Pull your feet wider and just start to create that space already in a very non-aggressive way. All right, bring your feet down, bring the soles of your feet together, bend the knees, so you're pulling the soles of the feet in, feet together, knees out to the side, butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. This pose I wanted to mention is a really good one to do in the morning or at night when you're lying in bed, because your spine will conform to your mattress and you'll feel really nice and supported, and you can pull the heels in as far as you want or leave them as loose as you want, but you can really take the time to let the knees sink down to the mattress and let gravity work for you, which is important in this pose because this is definitely a therapeutic pose. So this is a very effective hip opener, but it's one that you want to give a little bit of time to, not just, 5 seconds. So I very often will do this one at night in bed when I'm reading a book or when I'm watching something on Netflix on my iPad or on my phone. But when I've got a little time to just hang out in the position, this is an easy go-to to relieve some hip tightness and some tension. For kids, it's called butterfly pose. For adults, it's called Baddha Konasana, which basically means butterfly pose. over to your right hand side and make your way up to hands and knees. Just knocked over my water. Okay, so from here, spread your fingers nice and wide, lots of space in between each finger, making sure that the whole entire bottom of your hand is gripping the mat. You don't want to have a big air pocket underneath the palm, in between the palm and the mat. You want to have, this is what I was taught to do and this is what I like to do. Roll onto your fingers. If you can see my hands, my palms are lifted up and I'm kind of bent at a weird angle, and then slowly roll down and really press out any space that may be underneath your palm so that you've got a full grip and your whole entire hand is making contact with the mat. Curl your toes under if they're not. Let's start to lengthen the arches of our feet as well as our Achilles and our calves, and we're just going to cat and cow for a minute, moving things around, kind of getting our juices flowing a little bit, lengthening the spine, and just taking out any compactness. I don't know if that's a word, but that's what I think about around this time every day with my spine. I just kind of feel like the day has already like crunched it down. You know, I woke up early, I got out and walked before school had to start, and then I did errands. I ran to the store really quick to get some stuff, some grocery stuff, and I just, you know, like, you come home feeling shorter, like your spine has compacted itself. And so cat and cow is a good remedy for that. So inhale, press the spine up, drop the head. Exhale, arch the back and look up. So we're going to move at our own pace. You can follow me and do what I'm doing, or you can just move on your own breath. But we're just going to go for like a minute or so here. We're going to give it a little bit of a chance to work its magic, okay? One or two more here. And then we're going to come to a neutral back, also known in yoga as table tap. So nice flat back. Your head is looking straight down between your hands. It's not looking at your belly. It's not looking in front of you. It's straight down. And we're just going to move a little from side to side here, letting the hips fall a little. You can go as far as you want here, or you can be a little more gentle. I don't like to be super aggressive with this myself. Some people like to really let their hips go towards the floor, and that's just never felt good to me. So you do what feels best for you. But we're just loosening the hips a little, as well as the low back. And we're creating some space, because when we talk about poses that target a specific area or loosen a specific area, what we're really saying is that we need to create space in there where there isn't space right now. So we're just creating some space. Come on back to center. Spread the fingers again. We're going to come up into downward facing dog. Drop your heels. Find your breath here. Bend your knees a little, lift the hips high. Straighten through the back of the knees and allow the heels to naturally drop. Turn your head a little, loosen your neck. If you're lucky, you'll get some kind of good cracks here. Nothing I love more than some good cracks when I'm practicing. Come on forward into your plank, engage your core. Nice big breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Back into your dog. And then come on down onto hands and knees. And we're going to go into our first pose, which is a big hip opener, even though we tend to do it as a relaxation pose and a transition pose. If you can picture it anatomically, you'll understand why it's so huge as far as opening your hips go, because the femurs are going out to the sides and you're literally creating space between the top of the thigh bone and the hip socket. So knees out, coming down into a comfortable child's pose, forehead or chin down, arms out in front of you. One more inhale. And exhale. Okay, come on up again. We're going to come up into downward facing dog. Drop the heels, bend the knees, lift the hips high. Straighten through the back of the knees and allow the heels to drop naturally. Relax the back of your neck. We're going to walk our hands back to meet our feet, coming into a pike position. And we're just going to forward bend here for a second. Crossing our arms at the elbows, relaxing our head. And then we're going to try to walk out on our fingertips, which is a little bit harder. Takes a little bit more strength coming into your dog on your fingertips. Going flat. Inhaling forward into a plank. I just got stuffy all of a sudden. Allergy season. Press back into dog. So now you're going to shift your weight into your right foot. Left leg is going to come high and kick over. And then we're going to bring it down. Take a second here. Shift your weight into your, did I say the wrong foot before? You're going to shift your weight into your left foot this time. My shirt totally up. Darn it. Just hang out where you are. Okay, sorry about that. Shift your weight into your left foot. Right leg is going to come up high and kick over. If you look under your armpit, you should see your toes waving at you. And then bring the foot down. Now this time we're going to walk our feet up to meet our hands. Wrong shirt to wear. And drop your head, cross your arms at the elbows. Release your hands, inhale up to a flat back. Exhale and fold. Believe it or not, I washed my hair for you guys today, and this was still the best I could come up with because I didn't blow dry it. I think I need a haircut. I think it's just too long. I don't have a style right now. So I think I need to cut off a couple inches. It's kind of always the season when I do it anyway, because I still want to wear it up, but I don't have to wear it up all the time because it's not as hot. Exhale and fold. Let's go back with our right foot. Come down onto your knuckles. Just kind of feel your way into this. We're not going to go lower than we are so that everyone is at the same place, but I want you to press out through the heel of the back foot. And then if you can see my front foot, I'm lifting my arch and I'm rolling onto the outer edge. And I'm letting that knee drop out to the left. then we're going to come flat. I'm going to straighten the front leg a little, bend the back knee, and step it up. And then find my forward bend again. Inhale up, flat back. Exhale and fold. Inhale up, flat back. Exhale and fold. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale and fold. Left foot back. Long lunge. Go onto your knuckles and wiggle your way into this a little bit. So again, roll onto the outside of that right foot. Lift up the arch so you can see the bottom of your foot and let the knee go out to the right. The reason we're on knuckles right now, which we don't normally do, is because it forces you to engage your arms a little bit differently. And you should feel like you're using your muscular strength in your arms a little more than you might normally if you were fingertips or flat. And I just wanted to play with that for a second. All right, bring the foot flat, straighten the front leg, bend the back knee, step up, forward bend. And then let's come all the way up to stand. Fix your pants. Fix your sports bra. I think that's why you see more women yoga teachers than men, because we know all those things and we make the time for it. You know, like a guy's not necessarily going to know that you almost always have to adjust your clothing almost all the time in yoga, and they're just going to keep moving. Not us. We're going to say, take a minute, get yourself together. All right, so what we're going to do now is go wide. So wide with your feet, go to where you're comfortable, and then go a tiny bit further than where you're comfortable, right? Inhale the arms up. Find a little back bend here. Exhale, come on forward, nice and slow like you're holding a beach ball. Stick your tush out behind you, stop halfway. Big breath in. Exhale the breath. And come all the way down, fingertips. Try to keep your legs straight, but also at the same time, try not to lean all your weight onto the inside edge of your foot, but to distribute it between the inside and the outside edge. You can go on flat palms if you want to. And just forward bend as deeply as you're able to, as comfortably as you're able to. Remembering to keep the back of the knees straight. That's important here. Now you're going to inhale up to a flat back. Exhale and fold. Inhale up, flat back. Exhale and fold. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale and fold. Now staying low here, walk your hands over towards your right foot, but don't allow either one of your knees to bend when you're doing this. You want both legs to stay as straight as they are right now. So you're moving from the waist up through the crown of the head to go over towards the right foot, but you're not bending into one knee more than the other. And then from here, we're going to keep our left hand down. Right hand comes to right hip. We're going to turn open to look over our right shoulder and extend our right arm straight up. Big breath in. And then hand to the floor. I don't even know if that was in the video. It may have been on screen. And we're going to come back to center and forward bend. One more, inhale up. Exhale and fold. Inhale up. Exhale and fold. One more time, flat back. Exhale and fold. This time you're going to walk over towards your left foot. But again, you don't want to bend into one knee more than the other. And there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason for this. People seem to bend into either knee more when they go to one side versus the other without there being any real reasoning behind it. So just make sure both your legs are straight. Right hand is going to stay down on the ground. I like to go flat. You might prefer fingertip for this. Left hand comes to left hip. Twist open and extend up. Big breath in. Exhale. One more, inhale. And exhale. Hand down. Now from here, we're going to come up to a higher flat back. We're going to bring our hands onto our hips, pressing into the bottom of our feet, bending our knees a tiny bit. We're going to come all the way up. We're somehow going to get our legs back together again because they're going to feel, that was so graceful, they're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable for a moment, but really good hip opener, right? So let's just take a second for our shoulders. Right hand to left shoulder, left hand to the back of the right elbow. Press into yourself so you feel this in the back of the arm. And then switch up. Taco night here. One of my good friends was having a online Pampered Chef party a couple months ago, and I didn't know what to buy because I really am not knowledgeable about Pampered Chef, but I wanted to buy something to support her, so I bought this thing that's used to break up ground meat, and it sounds ridiculous and frivolous, but when I tell you this is one of the greatest inventions of my life, I couldn't mean it more. It has a long handle on it, and then it looks like, if you looked at it straight on, it would look like a 6-pointed star. So then when you put it down into your ground beef or ground turkey and you twist it, breaks it all up for you, because I know this is a very first world problem, but that is a pain in the neck to do, and it's hard to get even chunks. For me, at least, it is. And I tend to use only ground turkey. We don't really eat a lot of beef, so I don't use a lot of ground beef, but I use ground turkey a lot. So today, to make my taco turkey meat, I whipped out my tool, and it took no time at all, and it's great. It's so satisfying, this thing. So it's taco night at our house. That was the whole point of my story. Left hand to right shoulder. Right hand to the back of your elbow. If you've never taken live classes with me before and you're wondering if I'm this silly and ridiculous in my live classes, the answer is yes. Yes, I am. This is how I've always taught. This is how I'm comfortable teaching. In my mind, I feel like you get a little bit of fun and humor and hopefully what you consider to be a pretty good yoga class at the same time. And I've never been, one of those chanty Om Namah Shivaya kind of yoga teachers. There's a place and time for that with me, but in general, it's not in my classes usually. But I always want people to leave feeling better than when they got there. So to me, that means physically, but it also just means with like a lighter heart and, maybe a little less heaviness around you. So if laughing at my ridiculousness does that for you, then I'm doing okay. All right, take a seat. I have a real doozy of a story, but I've been hesitant to share it with anybody, like social media, my best friend. I think I might have told my son, my 14-year-old, but it's kind of a weird story. um, so the other day, for I don't know why, I don't know why, because I've never made egg salad in my life before, but I made it for my kids for lunch, because for school I've been making brown bag lunches for them and putting them in the fridge. So they both have lunch at different times. When it's time for lunch, they get their bag and they have their lunch. And it's not like a whole giant production. So I made egg salad. Start to rotate from the hips, going in either direction. So I made egg salad. I hate mayonnaise. So something like egg salad is not typical for me. I don't know why I made it. I think I knew my younger son would love it, and I wasn't sure if he'd even ever had egg salad. But when I was making it, I was thinking about how my dad used to make it a lot for my brother and I, and we liked it. But we liked it because he put bacon in it. Probably Bacos, like those salad things. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how I don't like mayonnaise, but I loved my dad's egg salad when I was younger. And then I thought, we don't have any bacon or Bacos. But then I thought, and this is where it gets really creepy and totally off the rails, and my only defense here is that it's COVID brain. Then I thought, the dog has bacon flavored treats. And then I really quickly thought, no, what are you talking about? That's absurd. Like, get that thought out of your head. And then I never thought about it again, except I did think about it again because I thought it was so weird that I thought that. Go in the other direction. So for a moment, subconsciously, I think I considered putting dog bacon treats in my kids' egg salad to make it taste like the egg salad my dad used to make for me. And we didn't have a dog growing up, so it was legitimate. Well, I don't know if Bacos are legitimate bacon, but it wasn't dog treats. But for 1 second in time, I thought about giving my kid bacon flavored dog treats at his egg salad. I know, it's terrible, right? That's what 6 months of lockdown does to me. That's what it's done. I hope this doesn't change the way you guys feel about me. Come back to center and just go down. So what you want to do when you're sitting in a wide-legged pose like this is as you get warmer and more comfortable, you want to wiggle your legs a little bit wider. That's what I do. And I kind of feel like it just makes sense to do that because you're letting the muscle soften, you're letting that tightness and sometimes that frightfulness in your muscles relax and go away so that you have the chance to create more space in there. And so as you get a little bit more comfortable, push the envelope a little and go a little bit wider and get more benefit. Come on down. That was really weird though, right? That my very first thought was, oh, the dog has bacon treats. Disgusting, Stacey. Oh, I don't know. It's pretty gross. I know. Let's change this subject. Waiting for a new printer to come today. We go through printers around here like once a year. And to be honest with you, we just buy like a regular home, wireless printer. Ink is so expensive that it's basically cheaper to just buy a new printer. You're coming into the S formation, left leg in front, right hand on the top of the left knee, left fingertips in the ground behind you, cupcake hand. So you have lots of range of motion in that shoulder. So I found a printer online like a week and a half ago at Target. And it's the same one that we're getting rid of. And I don't know that the old one is out of, I don't think it's out of ink. I think it's broken, but I just can't figure out what I'm doing wrong in the Wi-Fi setup to fix it. So we put it on the curb like 2 weeks ago and somebody took it and I had put a note on it that said, I think it just needs new ink, but I'm not entirely sure. You might need to figure it out. Hopefully someone is getting some use out of it, but we are starting fresh and it's due today. And I think it was on back order because the price was amazing. It's an Epson Home Expressions and it was like $45, which is cheaper literally than the ink refills. So I think it was on back order, so it took a little while to get here, but it's coming today, so it's pretty exciting. All right, extend your left leg out in front. Keep your right leg in the S shape. Walk your hands out and just come as low as you can over that leg, but don't compromise your spine in the process. So you want to lead with your heart. You're kind of looking up through the whole entire thing. You're not dropping your head. And you're lengthening from the low back out through the crown of the head to find the length to come into the bend, okay? The way that you know that you're keeping the leg aligned in this pose is that your toes should point up. If you let your toes flap, you need to really pull in muscularly and get that back on track. So keep an eye on that front foot and what the toes are doing. All right, come on up. We're going to switch sides. Literally, something is setting off my allergies that wasn't bothering me half an hour ago. I just vacuumed in here, so I'm not sure what it is. I'm next to the dog's bed. It might be that, but in general, she doesn't cause me to get stuffy. So, we're coming into the S shape, right leg in front. Now, remember I said earlier that I know for me, my right hip is my tighter hip. I can feel it in this pose. I bet you guys can see it in this pose. I can just feel the tightness, and it's so much less comfortable to me. So when a teacher says, just go to one side, pick a side, I will always not pick this side because it's just not as comfortable. So you probably have a similar thing going on. And it's good in yoga to know which hip is your tighter hip, because quite frankly, that's the one you want to try to go deeper into, not pull out of, even though instinctively you're going to want to pull out. But that's the one that you want to go deeper into and really try to break through the tightness. So left hand on the outside of the right knee, right fingertips, cupcake hand behind you. Twist and look over the right shoulder. Big breath in. Exhale. Come on back to center. So we're going to extend the right leg out in front. So remember what I said about the toes, right? If the toes flop in either direction, you're not muscularly engaging that leg enough, and the alignment's going to be off from the femur through the hip. So toes are pointing straight up. Walk yourself out, remembering that you're extending from the low back out through the crown of the head. So you're not folding. You're getting the extension first. Once you find the extension, you can sink into the forward bend all you want, but you want to lengthen out through the bottom of the back, the tailbone part of the back first, and then follow through. But again, on the other side, I don't know if you saw, but I can fold so much deeper on the other side comfortably. On this side, there's just none of that happening because of the hip. Darn it. All right, walk yourself up. Both legs are going to come out in front of you, and you are going to roll yourself right down into Shavasana. So get comfy on your mat. Arms at your side, palms up. Close your eyes right away, instinctively. Just close your eyes. Take a couple really deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Pulling that breath all the way in and all the way down. You don't want it to be a shallow breath that just kind of stops here. You want it to go all the way down into the low belly. Hold it there for just a comfortable couple of seconds and then slowly exhale. And just find a rhythm with that. We've talked a couple times lately about how that needs to be conscious and at the same time very organic. So thoughtful and almost totally thoughtless at the same time, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it's something that comes with a little bit of practice, and it'll start to make more sense the more you do it. You know, it's not a normal way to breathe, to make your inhale and exhale match, to hold the breath in the low belly. For a lot of people, using your nose to breathe only is not normal. Some people are mouth breathers for different reasons. But the more you do it in yoga, the more natural it becomes, and the more it's something you don't have to think about. So even though it's very conscious and you're following, you know, kind of a little guideline there, you're also doing it without thinking, which is a really nice part of practicing more and more and more and having things come a little bit natural. Let your mind wander. Try not to focus on any one thought for too long. Let your thoughts come and go. Let them be fluid. I love thinking about things as fluid. You know, yoga practice can be fluid. Your thoughts can be fluid. Anything can be fluid. You know, watching my older son when he swims competitively, he's very fluid in the water, and I know that's kind of a play on words because he's in water, but I just mean that it's so natural and organic and easy for him that there's no hesitation. There's hardly any thought process. His body just knows what to do. And I love the idea behind that when it comes to yoga, of just the fluidity of yoga, of just your body knowing what to do, muscle memory, and just the authenticity behind that. You know, when you first start practicing, you're a little bit uncomfortable and awkward, and you don't feel great in the class. You feel like everyone's looking at you and you're just not good at this. But everyone's good at yoga in their own way. You know, yoga is for everybody. And there's no pre-training. You just show up. And either it resonates with you and you like it, or it doesn't. But there's a fluidity that comes with practice, and it's so pretty to watch. And even as you're lying here in Shavasana, even though you're not moving, you're not going through any asanas, you're not moving through a vinyasa, a sequence, there's still a fluidity to the pose. It's your breath. It's letting your thoughts just float by. It's allowing your body and your muscles to soften and melt. So maybe think about that. Maybe think about the fluidity of this pose of Shavasana, and figure out if there's anything you can do or release to make your pose right now just a tiny bit more fluid. Maybe you're holding your ankles a little stiff, or maybe your jaw's a little tense. Maybe there's one little adjustment you can make that will just make the whole pose click into place for you, which would be nice. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. Start to bring yourself back to the space that you're in. When you're ready, you can take a big stretch if that's going to feel good for you, or you can just pull the knees in and kind of hug yourself into a little ball for a second and maybe roll around on your back. Some may just want to roll right up to sit, or roll over to the right and come up to sit that way. You know, certain parts of classes are very scheduled and very practiced, and I know that when I did my teacher training, I was taught to teach things in a certain sequence, but over the last 15 or 16 years of teaching and practicing as I've taught, I've learned that for me, what works better is to be offered a little variety, you know, to not necessarily have to do the exact cookie cutter thing that I'm being presented with, because that may not feel best for me. And so that's what I try to encourage you to do as well. But, you know, if you're a little hesitant to go out on your own and do something a little different than what I'm suggesting you do, this is the perfect opportunity to do it, because you're alone in your house, right? You're not in a studio with 15 other people or with a teacher who's walking around and looking at you. The perfect opportunity to really personalize your yoga practice. And I would encourage you to do that at every single chance you get, every single opportunity. And just make it feel as good as it possibly can based on what your body needs in that moment. So everyone is up in a comfortable seated position right now. Hands are going to come to our heart in prayer. We're going to close our eyes and take a nice deep breath. Let your shoulders settle. Let your eyes soften. Let your jaw relax. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale the breath. Inhale. And exhale. Namaste. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me again for, I think, episode 47. Maybe 48, but I think 47. I'll know when I upload it, because then I'll look at the last one. But thank you for joining me. I hope your hips feel better for having come and played a little bit. And don't forget, our next class is also going to be a hip opener, but it's going to be a more therapeutic version of a hip opener with, I think, outstanding results. But, you know, if you've never done the pose with me before, you can judge for yourself. If you have done the pose with me before and you know you like it, then I'll see you here on Saturday. And remember, if you're interested in taking live classes, we start this week, either Wednesday night, 6:30 to 7:30, or Friday morning, 9 to 10. But the only way to register this time is on the Parks and Rec website. There's a link. So you can't bring me your paperwork and a check. You have to do it online. Okay? So have a great night. Stay healthy. I hope to see you outside for yoga classes. And if not, I will see you right back here in a couple days. Okay? Thank you. Take care.